It started with the sound of rain, gentle, almost shy, the kind that usually comforts a lonely heart. But that night it felt different. Every drop carried something heavier, something waiting to break. A light flickered in the hallway. The clock struck 12:07 a.m. And just like that, time seemed to stop. She stood by the window, hands trembling, staring at the phone on the table. One missed call. Unknown number. No message. Her breath quickened. The kind of silence that follows bad news filled the room, thick, unbearable. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky like a warning. Then, the phone rang again. Same number. Same silence. She reached for it but froze. Something in her gut whispered, "Don't." Yet curiosity is louder than fear. And sometimes fate hides behind a ringtone. When she finally answered, the voice on the other side was faint, broken, almost not human. 3 words were all it said: "It's happening again." The call ended. And in that single moment, her entire world began to unravel. Maya always believed mornings carried promises, the kind you could smell in the air, warm and soft, like fresh coffee and sunlight through old curtains. Every day began the same way. She'd open her small kitchen window, let the wind move through the lace and whisper a quiet prayer, "Let today be gentle." Her world was small, but it was hers. A framed photo of her parents on the shelf. A half-written letter to her brother who'd been gone for years, no address, no reply. And an old cat who never stopped waiting by the door as if it too remembered someone who never came home. She worked at a local bookstore, the kind that smelled like rain and paper and dreams. People came for stories, Maya stayed for silence. Books didn't judge. They listened. They held every emotion she was too scared to show. To her coworkers she was quiet, gentle, the kind of soul you'd never expect to break. But inside she carried a weight no one could see. Each night she'd write a name on a piece of paper, fold it twice, and hide it in a wooden box under her bed. It was her secret ritual, a list of the things she couldn't forget or forgive. Life for her was built on routine. The morning tea, the bus ride, the bookstore bell, the laughter of strangers she'd never know again. 1,000 tiny pieces that made her feel safe, even if it was only an illusion. That's what made the silence of that night so terrifying. Because peace, as she'd soon learn, is not the absence of storms. It's only the space between them. And somewhere deep down, beneath her calm smile and steady heartbeat, Maya already felt it. A shift, a trembling in the air, as if the world itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to break. That night began like all the others, quiet, ordinary, harmless. The rain had stopped, leaving the streets glistening under the pale glow of the streetlights. Maya sat by the window, sipping tea gone cold, staring at the reflection of her own tired eyes in the glass. Then it happened. The phone on the table buzzed once, soft, almost hesitant, then again louder this time. Her heart skipped. Same unknown number. For a moment she told herself not to answer. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was nothing. But something deep inside whispered, "Pick it up." Her trembling fingers reached for the phone. "Hello?" No response. Only breathing. A faint, uneven sound, like someone trying not to cry. "Maya?" The voice cracked, weak, distorted through static. Her blood ran cold. No one had said her name like that in years. "Who is this?" she whispered. But before she could ask again, the voice spoke 4 words that shattered everything she thought was safe. "He's not dead, Maya." The line went dead. She froze, heart racing, mind blank. Her brother? The one who vanished without a trace 3 years ago? Her body moved before her thoughts caught up. She grabbed her coat, stumbled toward the door but stopped halfway. What if it was a cruel trick? What if someone knew her secret? The names in the box, the guilt she carried, the things she never told anyone. Her world had cracked open in a single breath. And standing there, between the light of her apartment and the darkness of the night outside, she realized one truth she could never unhear: the past wasn't done with her. She looked down at her phone, the caller ID still glowing faintly. Her voice trembled as she whispered to herself, "If he's alive, then where has he been?" The city still slept, unaware that one phone call had awakened an old ghost. Maya's footsteps echoed down the wet pavement as she moved through the sleeping streets. The cold wind bit at her cheeks, but she barely felt it. Her heart was too loud, her thoughts too wild. "He's not dead." Those words kept replaying in her mind like a broken record. Every time she heard them, her pulse quickened. Every time she tried to doubt them, her gut said, "No, it's real." She walked faster. She needed answers, and there was only one place to start. The old police station on 8th Street. That's where they had filed her brother's case, missing, presumed dead. But Maya remembered something odd about that night 3 years ago. The lead detective, Richard Hale, had closed the case faster than anyone expected. Too fast. Too clean. Now, standing outside the cold stone building, she hesitated. The lights were still on in his office. She stepped inside. The air smelled like dust and burnt coffee. Detective Hale looked up, older, grayer, same tired eyes. Maya? After all this time? She swallowed hard. You said my brother was gone. You signed the papers. You lied to me. He sighed, rubbing his temples. You don't understand. No, you don't understand, she snapped. Someone just called me. They said he's alive. The color drained from his face. Who told you that? Maya's heart pounded. You mean, it's true? He leaned closer, lowering his voice. You should go home. Forget you ever got that call. Some doors aren't meant to be reopened. But she couldn't. Something inside her, a spark she thought had died with her brother, ignited again. She turned, storming out, the detective's warning echoing behind her. If he's alive, Maya, you're already in danger. Outside, the city felt different now, darker, heavier. The streetlights flickered as she walked past the alley where her brother used to wait for her after school. For a second she thought she saw someone there, a shadow watching her. She froze. Who's there? No answer. Just silence. Her phone buzzed again, this time a message. Stop looking for him. Her breath caught. Another message appeared instantly after. Or you'll end up like him. Her hands trembled as she backed away, scanning the street. No one. Nothing. Only her reflection in the rain puddle staring back, scared but determined. Fear clawed at her chest, but courage whispered louder now. She couldn't stop. Not after what she'd heard. She took one last look at the message, deleted it, and whispered into the cold night. If you think you can scare me, you've never met a sister who's already lost everything. Maya pulled her hood over her head and kept walking, toward the truth, toward the danger, toward whatever waited in the shadows. Because deep down she already knew. This wasn't about finding her brother anymore. This was about uncovering why someone had worked so hard to make her believe he was gone. The next morning the world looked the same, but nothing felt familiar anymore. Maya hadn't slept. Every creak, every shadow outside her window felt like a warning. She needed help, someone she could still trust. And there was only one name that came to mind. Lena, her best friend since childhood, the one who'd held her hand at the funeral, who'd told her to move on when no one else dared to speak. Maya rushed to Lena's apartment, breathless, desperate. Lena, someone called me last night. They said Ethan might be alive. Lena froze, her coffee cup trembling slightly. That's impossible, she murmured, eyes darting away. I know how it sounds, but I need to find him. I need your help. There was a pause, too long, too quiet. Then Maya noticed something on the table. A small black phone, screen cracked, but the wallpaper was unmistakable. Her brother's face. Her heart stopped. Why do you have that? Lena's lips parted, but no words came. Maya stepped closer, voice breaking. Lena, what did you do? Tears welled in Lena's eyes. I tried to protect you. You were never supposed to know. They said he was dangerous, Maya. That he wasn't the same after what happened. Protect me? Maya whispered. By lying to me? By helping them erase him? Lena's silence said everything. For a moment the room spun, betrayal heavier than the night before. The girl who had buried her brother's memory now realized her best friend had buried the truth with him. Maya's voice shook, low and cold. You chose their side. I'm choosing mine. She turned to leave, but Lena's final words followed her like a knife to the heart. If you find him, you'll regret it. Maya didn't look back. The tears came later, but right then something inside her hardened. The confusion was gone. The fear was gone. Now there was only purpose. And vengeance. Maya drove for hours, guided only by fragments. An old address scribbled on the back of a photo, a half-burned letter found in Lena's drawer, and the sound of her brother's name echoing in her mind. By the time she reached the outskirts of the city, the sky was heavy with clouds, the kind that promise a storm. An abandoned factory stood before her, the same one her brother used to talk about when they were kids. A place they called the end of the world. She stepped inside. The air was thick with dust and silence. And then she saw it, a wall covered in photos, papers, maps. Her brother's face was everywhere. But what made her blood run cold was her own. Her pictures, her routines, her home, circled in red ink. Before she could move, a voice echoed from behind. You shouldn't have come here. Maya turned. It was Detective Hale. You were right, he said quietly. Your brother didn't die. But he wasn't who you thought he was. Her pulse pounded in her ears. What are you talking about? Hale stepped closer, his eyes heavy with regret. He worked for us, Maya. Undercover. He discovered something that could destroy people in power. They tried to silence him, and when they couldn't, they turned to you. Me? Hale nodded slowly. You were the leverage. He gave himself up to keep you safe. The world tilted. The betrayal, the lies, the missing years, all of it made cruel, perfect sense now. Her brother hadn't abandoned her. He had sacrificed everything for her. But then Hale whispered the part that shattered her completely. He's still alive, Maya. But he's working for them now. Her breath caught. No, that's not possible. People change, Hale said, his voice breaking. Sometimes they forget who they were, and who they loved. Maya backed away, shaking her head as tears blurred her vision. The truth hit like a blade. The person she'd been searching for might now be the enemy. The storm outside finally broke, lightning flashing through the broken windows. She looked at Hale, voice trembling but fierce. Then I'll remind him who he was, even if it kills me. And with that, she stepped back into the rain, walking toward a truth that would cost her everything. The storm raged for hours, soaking the city in sheets of relentless rain. Maya drove aimlessly through the empty streets, her mind spinning between two names, her brother Ethan, and Detective Hale. Every truth she uncovered came with a wound. But she wasn't done bleeding yet. She pulled over near an old bookstore, one that used to belong to her brother's closest friend, Daniel Rivers, a journalist who'd vanished the same week Ethan disappeared. If anyone still cared about the truth, it was him. Inside, the place smelled of old paper and smoke. Dust motes floated in the glow of a single flickering lamp. Daniel? She called softly. A figure emerged from the back, unshaven, thinner, eyes haunted but sharp. Maya Washington, he said slowly as if testing a memory. You shouldn't be here. I need answers, she said. Hale told me Ethan worked for someone, that he was part of something bigger. Daniel studied her for a long moment, then locked the door behind them. He was part of the consortium, a private intelligence network. They control what people see, what they believe. Ethan tried to expose them. That's why he vanished. Maya's stomach twisted. And now? He's one of them, Daniel said bitterly. Or at least that's what they want everyone to believe. He handed her a folder, photos, coded documents, names she didn't recognize. But one detail stopped her cold. Hale's signature on the bottom of an old operation file. Hale knew about this, she whispered. Daniel's eyes darkened. He didn't just know. He was in charge. The room seemed to shrink. The one man she thought was helping her had been playing both sides all along. A crash outside snapped them back, tires screeching, headlights slicing through the rain. Get down? Daniel yelled as bullets shattered the front window. They dove behind the counter. The air filled with the sharp scent of gunpowder and fear. When the noise faded, Daniel grabbed Maya's arm. They found us. We have to move. They fled through the alley, hearts pounding in sync with the storm. Behind them, the bookstore burned, pages, memories, and safety all turning to ash. As they reached the car, Daniel turned to her. You wanted the truth, Maya? This is it. They'll hunt us now. You, me, anyone who knows. Maya looked at him, eyes fierce despite the fear. Then let them come. I'm done running. He stared at her, this broken, grieving woman who now carried the fire of someone reborn. Your brother said the same thing once, he whispered. Before they took him. For the first time in days, she felt something like strength surge through the cracks of her fear. She tightened her grip on the folder. Inside it wasn't just evidence, it was a map. A trail leading straight to the people who'd stolen her brother's life, and her own peace. As the car sped through the dark streets, Daniel's voice cut through the sound of rain. Allies are rare in this war, Maya. But enemies? They're everywhere. She looked out the window, watching the city lights blur into streaks of gold and gray. In that reflection, she didn't see the woman she used to be. She saw a fighter, one who'd already lost too much to turn back now. And somewhere in that storm, she knew. Ethan was watching. Maybe as a prisoner. Maybe as her enemy. But still, her brother. The night swallowed the city whole. The storm had passed, but the silence it left behind was worse. Heavy, hollow, endless. Maya sat on the edge of an old motel bed, her clothes still damp, her hands trembling around the folder that had cost her everything. Daniel was gone. The bookstore, gone. And with it, every lead, every ally, every trace of safety she'd clung to. Her phone lay shattered on the floor, its last message still glowing faintly, "We warned you." For the first time in years, Maya felt truly alone. No one left to call. No one left to trust. Even her brother's face, the one memory that kept her alive, began to blur in her mind like a fading photograph. She whispered to the empty room, "Maybe they were right. Maybe I should have let it go." The words tasted like defeat. Rainwater dripped from the ceiling, landing in small, steady drops that echoed through the silence. Each one felt like time itself slipping away. She thought of her brother's laughter, the way he used to promise, "I'll always find you no matter what." Now it was her who couldn't find him. And for the first time, she wasn't sure she wanted to anymore. Tears burned down her cheeks, silent and unrelenting. She buried her face in her hands and let herself fall apart. No strength, no courage, just a broken woman in a room too small for her pain. But then, through the hum of the flickering light, she noticed something. A faint red mark on one of the photos inside the folder. Not ink. Not a stain. A fingerprint. Her brother's fingerprint. Her breath caught. She stared at it, tracing the familiar swirl with trembling fingers. It was recent, fresh enough to still reflect the dim light. That small, fragile spark, hope, flickered to life again. Maybe he wasn't her enemy. Maybe he was leaving her a trail. She lifted her head, wiped her tears, and whispered into the darkness, "You're still out there, aren't you?" The room remained silent, but something inside her shifted. She wasn't healed. She wasn't strong. Not yet. But she wasn't done either. In that lonely room, surrounded by loss and lies, Maya found the only thing the world hadn't taken from her, the will to keep going. By dawn, the rain had stopped. The city glimmered beneath a pale gray sky, quiet as if holding its breath. Maya stood by the window of that rundown motel, staring at her reflection. The woman looking back wasn't the same one who'd picked up that phone days ago. Her eyes were sharper now, colder, but beneath the exhaustion, something steady burned again. That fingerprint changed everything. It wasn't just proof that Ethan was alive, it was a message. And now she finally understood it. He wanted her to find him. Maya spread the photos and documents across the bed, tracing the red circles, the coded notes, the coordinates scribbled on the edges of the pages. Every clue, every whisper, every loss, they all led to one place. The Arden facility, a private research compound outside the city owned by the consortium. The same place Ethan's trail had gone cold 3 years ago. Her heart pounded as she pieced it together, Hale's involvement, Lena's silence, the threats, the lies. It was all connected. And she had just enough left to make one final move. She packed the folder, a flashlight, and the only weapon she had, a small revolver Ethan had given her when they were kids. "If the world ever turns on you," he'd said, "don't run. Stand tall." Now she finally understood what he meant. As she zipped her bag, Daniel's voice echoed in her mind, "Allies are rare in this war." Maybe so. But she didn't need an army. She just needed the truth. Maya stepped into the pale morning light, her breath steady, her resolve unshaken. There would be no second chances, no safe return. Every path led to that facility, to Ethan, to answers, to the end. She looked at the horizon, her whisper carried by the wind. "I'm coming for you, Ethan, no matter what I find." And with that, she started the car, driving straight into the heart of the storm she was born to face. The road to the Arden facility was silent, winding through the woods like a scar no one dared to trace. The sky hung low, heavy with storm clouds. Maya's headlights cut through the darkness, her hands gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping her alive. Every heartbeat echoed with a single truth: this was the end. The gates were unguarded. Too easy. Too quiet. She stepped out, the gravel crunching beneath her boots, her breath visible in the cold air. Inside, the facility was a skeleton of steel and shadow, flickering lights, the hum of machines, and a haunting echo that made her skin crawl. Then she heard it. Footsteps. Slow. Familiar. Maya. Her heart stopped. He stepped from the darkness, her brother Ethan. Alive. Changed. His face was thinner, his eyes harder, dressed in black tactical gear that didn't belong to the brother she remembered. For a moment they just stared, silence heavier than any word. "It's really you," she whispered. Ethan's voice was calm, almost hollow. "You shouldn't have come." "I had to," she said, tears stinging her eyes. "I thought you were dead." "I was," he said quietly. "The man you knew died the night they took me." She shook her head. "No, you're still my brother. Whatever they did to you, you can fight it." He looked away, jaw tightening. "You don't understand, Maya. I am the thing they made me. The consortium isn't just power, It's order. It's control. And I chose to survive. By becoming them, she said bitterly. By killing everything we stood for? His silence was answer enough. Then the alarms blared, red lights flashing, walls vibrating. The facility was going into lockdown. Hale's voice echoed through the intercom, cold and mechanical. Maya Washington, you should have stayed out of this. Ethan turned, gun drawn. They know you're here. You have to go. No, she said, stepping closer. Not without you. He aimed the gun at her, hands shaking. I can't go back, Maya. She met his eyes, tears falling freely now. Then shoot me. But I'm not leaving you again. His finger hesitated on the trigger. The alarms grew louder. Smoke filled the corridor. For a moment, time stopped, just the two of them caught between love and ruin. Then Ethan swung around, fired at the control panel instead. Sparks exploded, lights died, the building plunged into chaos. Run, he shouted. But Maya didn't move. She watched as soldiers flooded in, Hale among them, gun raised. Ethan turned his weapon on him, and in the flash of a heartbeat, 2 shots rang out. One hit Hale. The other hit Ethan. The world went silent again. Maya dropped to her knees beside him, cradling his head. Blood stained her hands, his breath shallow, fading. He looked up at her, a faint smile breaking through the pain. You found me, just like I said. Stay with me, she begged, clutching him tighter. Please, Ethan, stay. His eyes softened, the soldier disappearing, the brother returning for just one final second. It's over, Maya, but not for you. Finish it. Then his eyes closed. Outside, the facility began to burn, the storm roaring as if the heavens themselves were mourning. Maya stood in the doorway, wind whipping through her hair, the folder clutched to her chest. She'd won the truth, but lost the reason she was fighting for it. And in that hollow victory, as flames devoured the night behind her, one thought lingered like a whisper in the smoke. If the truth killed him, what will it do to me? The world breathed again, slow, uncertain, fragile. The chaos had ended, but the silence it left behind felt heavier than the noise ever was. The air still carried the scent of rain and smoke, like memories refusing to fade. He walked through the empty street, where life once moved in rhythm, laughter, voices, footsteps. Now only the sound of the wind remained. The buildings stood, but something inside them was gone. An innocence, a trust, a piece of what made them home. He paused near the place where it all began, the cracked pavement beneath his feet, the same streetlight flickering above. It was all still there, yet completely changed. His reflection in the broken glass stared back, tired eyes but no longer lost. Somewhere nearby, the world was beginning to rebuild. A door creaked open, a child called out, a bird dared to sing again. And for the first time he let himself feel it, the ache, the relief, the quiet miracle of survival. He closed his eyes and whispered into the wind, maybe peace isn't silence, maybe it's the courage to begin again. The first rays of sunlight touched the horizon, soft and golden, fragile but real. And in that light, life quietly returned. He sat in silence, the weight of everything finally settling. The sun had just begun to rise when the phone on the table buzzed once. A single vibration that broke the stillness. He hesitated, then answered. A familiar voice whispered through the static, calm, deliberate, and unmistakable. Did you really think it was over? His breath caught. The line went dead. Outside, a shadow moved past the window. Fade to black.